the upper reaches of the River Great Ouse. A river not known for its fast water, but after the rain we've had, this little natural weir here, the water's flowing quite quickly. In the summer you get things like barbel. Now you see these two swans, well they're a pair, they marry up swans. That's the cob or the male, and that's the pen, the female, and he's defending his territory against all comers. The water evens out a bit as we get a bit further down. Let's see if we can find somewhere else. See Lou, look, now we've got a bit further below the weir, turbulent water's stopped and it's steadied right up. Lovely sort of winter roach swim, might even be a chub or two under those trees. I've got a feeling we'll find something even better down below these may bushes. Let's have a look. It's probably the coldest day I've been fishing on this year, despite the fact we've had such a mild winter. And already there's bits of leaf coming, little dog rose there starting to go into leaf, and the hawthorns themselves are going to be bursting into flower in a week or two. This will all be pink and green then, won't recognise it. Hello, what's this? Ho ho! It's a classic winter swim. As the water comes down from the weir, it gets less and less turbulent, slightly deeper water, and where you've got that back channel coming there, that back stream, where the two currents mingle in the middle, you've got probably be a bit of depth there I would think, and you'll have certainly bream and big roach, maybe even a pike or two hold up there. It's one to bear in mind when we get our gear out. Well, let's see what we've got further down. These here, classic chub swims, where you've got all those overhanging trees and rafts of debris, especially in the summer. The chub hole up under them, out of the way of all the interference, and in the darker little holes, waiting to intercept their food as it comes down on the current on the outside of the bend. This time of year they're quite difficult to fish, impossible with a float. You can throw a ledger over there and lunch and meat or lobworms or things like that. Oh, this is interesting. Look, see this here? Yeah. See these bits of straw and wood and that? Yeah. That's been thrown up by the river when it's been in flood. You can see it's been all over here. This must look like a great big lake, because this is the highest bit of ground around. All bits of twig and everything. Obviously a well-fished swim, look. All the grass is worn out, mud everywhere. See? Steady water through the middle. Trailing branches in the water over there, plenty of cover for chub and things like that. There's that, see between the trees there, that's scum.
Oh yeah, yeah.
On the surface. Well, behind that's a slack. And I reckon you could guarantee, drop a bait in there, you'd catch a pike. They love to live in there and just hole up and they slip out and intercept their prey as it drifts downstream. All down here in the edge, you have a look, see under the water all that looks like rubbish.
Yeah.
Well, that's in fact a weed bed in the summer, I would think. Probably rushes, but it could be cabbage we call it, it's underwater lilies, but I'd reckon it's probably rushes, and that'll grow up starting at that point down there and go out. So in the summer it's an ideal bit of cover. You can get behind it, the fish can't see you, and although I don't know, I'd be prepared to bet you've got probably 5 foot of water off the edge of it, sure to hold some roach I would think. Listen, see if you can hear anything. Hear that honking? Can you hear it? That's Canada geese. All on this field here, on the lakes over there. This time of the year they get ready in huge flocks to build their nests. I noticed this morning as we drove down the road there was Canada geese, a grey lag or two as well. I think they were greys. It could be pinkfoot. It's very difficult to see until you get close up. But definitely loads of Canada geese. And all on these lakes, this huge linear fisheries complex of lakes, they flocks and flocks of geese through the winter. Ducks, all sorts of wildfowl. Lovely, really. Right. I think I've seen enough of this river for now, don't you? The next time I want to see it, it's got a float going down the middle of it. Should we go and get a tackle out?
Yeah.
Come on, mate. You good, mate?
Hello there. Well, it hasn't been too good, but with these sort of conditions you don't expect too much, but had a few nice roach earlier.
Oh, smashing.
But I've been plagued with a pike all day. It's been a right pest.
What if he comes down and sit beside you?
No, not at all. You know, pleased with the company actually. Well, it's evil, isn't it? This wind seems to have really got up now. I was trotting down earlier, but now it's, you know, it's getting so difficult with this wind. But the bailiff apparently, you know, catches some nice roach just off the end of that bush there.
Oh yeah.
Just laying on.
Yeah. Looks ideal for that, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. I think the pike might still be around.
Yeah. Yeah. Little bit of slack water seems to hold them up this time of the year, doesn't it?
Yes, that's right.
It's been worse than this, the river lately. It's been way up over the fields.
Oh dear, yeah, I know. It's because this is on the floodplain, of course, of all this fishery.
Yeah.
And sometimes the water authority have to hold the water back here to stop flooding the whole of the lower valley.
Oh really?
Yes.
Really? Looks ideal, that black tip float. See that, Lee? If you had a red or a yellow tip on there, you'd probably not be able to see it anywhere near as good as that black. But because of this wind and the lightness in the sky, that black sticks out really well.
What, because of the light reflection on the...
So you can see it. I'm sure you couldn't see yellow or red as good as that. Put my head up a bit. It's starting to persist down now. You caught some maggots?
Yes, yeah, that's right. It's red maggot. Sometimes here you pick up the, you know, the bonus perch on the red maggot as well.
It looks right perchy, doesn't it, underneath?
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Remember when I was a boy reading Mr. Crabtree, always said fish underneath branches like that, and camp sheathing. I've never been able to find out what that was yet.
What bait have you caught most of your fish on today?
Most of the fish I've caught on an ordinary white maggot, but as I say, now I'm sort of a little bit over depth. I thought I'd go on the red maggot. Sometimes you can pick up a bonus fish doing this, you know, when the main shoals stop feeding. Yeah.
That's sitting there lovely, that float, isn't it? You tried down through the main flow?
Yes, I have. It was going through there lovely, but now with this wind, it's very, very difficult to control it properly.
That's right. I don't like wind off the fact myself. I'll tell you what I do, Lee, when it's really windy like this and I've got to trot down, always cast a bit too far downstream from where you want your float to be, put the end of your rod under the water and just jerk it slightly, and that gets all the lines sunk between the float and the end of the rod. What that does, it gets it all out of the water, out of arm's waist, just like you do with a waggler. But people are very reluctant to do it with a stick float, and you hear them moaning, oh, it was a downstream wind, I couldn't fish a stick properly. I was no fears of me. I prefer to fish a stick float in a downstream wind, because I always think it gives me a bit of an advantage over everybody else. Oh, sometimes it even pays to put a little shot, maybe a number 8 or even a number 6, about 18 inches behind the float, and you'd think that'd make the float tip up backwards, but it doesn't. We call it a back shot, and it just helps you get that bit of line sunk. Sometimes that's the only bit you need sunk, but in wind like we've got today, where it's going right off your back, it can be a real problem. It blows your float straight across the river. It's ever so difficult just to get it back in. There.
How long have you been fishing today?
Oh, I suppose I got here about just after 10, something like that.
How many fish do you reckon you got?
May have a couple of pounds or so, I suppose. I always underestimate, so...
You know, I know plenty of people that do that as well, especially on the back circuit. Nobody ever tells you the truth. I've seen £8 turn into 20 before now. It's really got quite pacey out there now, isn't it? Sometimes the wind can blow extra water over the weir without any rain. The river can suddenly start to flow faster, and that may be happening now. Looks right there, it looks like any minute it's going to go down the hole. Any minute. Just holding up there on the edge of that crease. Remember I told you this morning when we went round on that bend down there where the two rivers met?
Yeah.
I said about a crease. Well, that's just what you've got there. Where the water in the edge hits that sort of willow bit there and bounces back. Where the two currents meet, you've got that same sort of crease. And fish love it there because they've got peaceful water to drop into. items of food come down the main current, and they can just slide out, eat them, and drop back into the slack water. Absolute minimum of effort. I see you're using one of those closed face reels.
Yes, that's right. It's I took some time to get to grips with it, but now I wouldn't use anything else.
Ever so useful in this wind. Ever so useful. On a normal open face reel, you've got, you know, the bail arm that comes across the silver bit that picks the line up.
Well, like on my one.
Yeah, exactly the same as on yours. Well, where you've got a bail arm in this wind, the line can suddenly come round behind the roller and give you all sorts of problems unless you're very careful. But the bail arm on that isn't really a bail arm at all, it's like a pin, and it's situated inside that black dome there. See?
Yeah.
And that keeps the line out of the way of the wind. Brilliant idea. Brilliant idea. Was that a bite?
Yeah, I think it's a roach, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's been bashed up by another fish, or?
It does. I think that pike said that.
Been well munched.
Oh, it's been very busy today.
Really?
Yeah. Still, it looks like they may be moving back now.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's...
Just that little bit further out, more in that place.
That's right.
Have most of your fish been like that?
Yeah, that's probably around about the average size. Maybe one or two slightly better ones. But still, on a day like this, it's a bonus to be out here fishing.
You've been feeding much?
Yeah, I cut it right down when that pike was around, because there was, you know, I didn't want to encourage it too much, and hoping that it just move out of the swim.
Yeah.
But just starting to put, you know, just little and often.
Yeah. It's always sound advice, really. I think you don't always want big handfuls. One of the biggest mistakes you see people make, especially beginners, they'll go into the shop, buy a pint of maggots, go down to the waterside. They'll take a big handful out that pint, throw them in. If they don't catch anything, that's it, they don't throw in anymore. One of the important things with fish is they notice the bait falling through the water. And if you keep up a fairly steady stream of bait going in, they'll be attracted just by the activity. That little bit of bush there as well, where the float is. You know, I was telling you this morning about the extra bit of cover that fish like. They get underneath it to keep out the main flow and to keep out the light where they can be seen. Well, that's classic, that is. Absolutely classic. During the night and in overcast, cloudy conditions, it's really changeable today. And now the sun's out, every fish in the world is sure to be under a branch or a root of some kind, or against the rush beds. There's these beds of rushes all the way along. There's sure to be some fish in those as well.
Let's try running it through just a little bit, just see if it makes a difference. May just tempt something.
Have you hooked the branch at all?
I did a couple of times earlier, yeah,
Did you?
unfortunately. Yes. Well, it's picked up quite a bit now.
Not quite that much. I think there was a fish swimming away with it, wasn't it? Have you fair looked at it?
So, well, I don't know. It's strange. It's a nice roach.
What's that looked at mean?
Well, sometimes you can hook a fish not in the mouth. And that looks like what's happened here.
It could be. I'll net it anyway then. It's a nice, it's quite a nice roach, that one. It could just have the line caught around the fin.
It might be that actually, because I've seen it before.
There's the maggot in
don't
his
fight
mouth.
at all. Is that the maggot sticking out of his fin?
Mouth. Out of its mouth. See?
Oh, it's a nice roach.
No, it is hooked in the mouth.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it is. It's caught round the fin slightly.
I think that picked up the bait and went downstream with it. They sometimes do. Oh, they've got company.
They've been around all day.
Have they? Oh, were you using bread for bait earlier?
Yes, I was actually.
Oh, I see. It looks like you used the middle of the slice, and they're making a meal of the rest. They love anglers in the winter, swans, and they always seem to be giving them grub of some kind or another.
That's right. I think it's a
It's a
discordia
job.
It's only right in the lip, but it's
Well in.
just a tiny hook.
See that, Lee? That's we call that a discordia, and all it is, it's just a plastic with a barrel in the end that the line slides down, and it pushes the hook out. I'll show you. I'll show you when I take you and Maggie. Do you mind if I have a look at that float? I'll
No, not
show
at
it
all.
to Lee. This.
Hang on.
I thought it was. This is a Dick Clegg lignum stick, and it's something, an unusual shape of float. You see it's got like a body at the bottom and another one at the top there, and they're made out of two completely different materials. This one is called lignum, and it's a wood, I think comes from the Caribbean, and it's exceptionally heavy. Up until a year or two ago, and the invention of very heavy, very hard plastics, I made policemen's truncheons out of it. So if you were a villain years ago, you got bashed over the crust with one of those. And the top half is balsa wood. You see, just there, where the join is?
Yeah.
Well, that's lignum wood. Then that's inserted into the balsa wood top, and then it's made into that dome shape. That wood is so heavy, it's actually one of the unusual woods that sinks. And what happens as you cast that into the water, it actually hits the water, sits up straight away, gets into about that position there, and then the shot drops it down steadily until it reaches there. Now, not often in these conditions, but in the summer, when the fish are feeding at all levels, you'll get the float only settle into there, and that'll be a bite. Do you see? And this shotting pattern is the conventional, classical almost, stick float shotting pattern.
That's right.
Some people call it shirt buttons, some people call it strung out. And what it is, it's a selection of small shot, generally dust shot number 8s and smaller, spread out down the line. So to give the added bonus of the float sitting like that at half cock, these strung out shot, or shirt button shot, will just drop it down steadily to that position. See?
Yeah.
And it
Get back
catches
to
lots of
fishing
fish, yeah.
That's what you're really interested by all that, didn't you? You
Yeah,
really
I
wanted to
am
know that
actually,
instead
yeah.
of catching the fish, didn't you?
It's something I learned. There, cool. You never stop learning at this game.
No, that's right. That's right.
Do you believe that wind's died a bit now?
No, I don't think it's gone too far though. I can still hear the hum in the distance from the trees.
Let's hope there's a few more there like that last one.
Yeah, they've moved out into the main flow now, I think.
I think they have. It's
Probably the disturbance of me
this
plodding along the bank. I didn't notice you at first.
as
Unfortunately.
well, I was catching them further out early on. I
Were
think,
you?
know, yeah.
Yeah. See the effects that wind having. Have you tried a back shot?
Yes, in fact, I've got one on now.
Have you really?
You had to. You couldn't fish earlier without it.
No, no.
Phew.
Try that burying the line under the water. I don't know if you heard me talking today. I'm not teaching my grandmother to suck eggs, but you might find it really works. Just get the rod under, and I'll tell you another, the easiest way I find to do it, get hold of the line between the reel and the butt ring.
Yeah.
That's it. And just tweak
Just
it
a
towards
gentle
you.
pull.
That's it. That will sink the whole lot. And then you can keep the rod tip under the water. Just open your reel up, and the line will pull off it.
Yeah, I must admit that's going through much nicer now.
I'm glad I wasn't teaching my grandmother to suck eggs. Get nothing like my grandmother anyway. Looks like the swans are taking up residence there now. I think they're waiting for the rest of your bread. You always feel in that sort of pace that any minute the old float's going to take a dive, don't you?
You do. It's.
Especially when you can get it going through steady.
I don't know. It's just instinct. I think
Yeah.
you seem to get a feeling.
Oh, you noticed that as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Split second before it actually goes that it's going to go, and it
I
does
think it's-
normally.
ESP, sometimes you feel you're mentally in tune with the fish, don't you? And you seem to know sort of half a second before your float's going to go. It actually does go, and you're on the fish much quicker than you would be just with
That's
normal
right.
reactions. There is something definitely instinctive about it. I'll give you a bit of praise now. It only seems that good anglers have that. I don't have it very often, just now and again.
Definitely think it's picked up a little bit.
Is it? What breaking strain line you on?
This is about £1.5. I've been fishing very light today because
That is light, isn't it?
it is really.
Very rare I fish less than £2 on the reel. I find sometimes with the light lines, again especially in the wind, they get blown about such a lot. I like the extra bit of weight of £2, especially for getting it sunk under the surface.
Yeah, I think I should have went heavier today, especially when I hit that pike. It would have been nice to have had the the safety of a little bit heavier line there.
We're using a lighter hook link, £1.5 or something like that. We're using £1.5 main line. I normally use £1.5 hook links. We're using a £1 breaking strain hook link.
No, I've had to go down to 12 ounce actually.
Really?
It's been, you know.
You are a brave man in that flow. I don't think I'll go that far quite in this flow.
Well,
Anything to catch a fish, eh?
well, I think that's it. You tend to get a little bit brainwashed these days with fishing matches, of course, going on these very light lines.
Can't catch a fish until you get a bite, can you?
No,
get a bite
that's
first,
it.
worry about it afterwards. Oh, there's another one. There's a few out in that flow now, isn't there?
There is, isn't there?
I wonder that pike's here. Sliding it under it.
Oh.
Not worth losing something you've worked so hard for,
No,
is
that's
it?
right. It's getting late in the day, it's too tired for that.
Sunshine's disappeared very rapidly and left us in rain again. It
Keith, when are we going to get off fishing?
won't be long now.
Yeah, that's a lovely condition fish there.
Can I have a look? Let's
certainly.
wet my hands first. Thanks. Always wet your hands before you handle a fish because they're covered in a protective layer of slime. Now that's a lovely little river roach, probably no more than 2 ounces. Don't touch him because your hands are dry. Probably about 2 ounces. Lovely big dorsal fin, holding its place in the current, orangey colour. Be a bit brighter than this if the water was clearer. But where we've had all the rain, it's still a bit coloured. Nice orange tinge to the fin there, and a big tail fin for propulsion. Excellent. Lovely little eye, orange top, and the mouth, the top lip, sticks out further than the bottom lip. And that's important because there's another fish called rudd where the bottom lip sticks out further than the top lip. Do you mind if I slip him straight back?
No, not at all. No,
I can slip him straight back without slipping straight back myself. Well, he's found a way around you keeping it nice and easily. It's got my hands nice and muddy now, hasn't it?
in daylight there, so I think you end up being muddy all over.
That's right. It's given me the incentive, that fish, notwithstanding the weather, to go and have a chuck in myself. I think I'll go and find myself a swim right and do as well as you've done.
Well, I'll tell you what, a pal of mine the other day, he had quite a nice bag of fish just up there where those bushes, see those clumps of bushes up there?
Oh, those little withies, I think.
That's right, yeah, just on a couple of 100 yards, I think. Less than that. Yeah, just in there, tucked in there. He had a nice bag of fish the other day there.
Oh, that's handy. That's nearer to the car than you as well, so yeah, I think I'll set myself up there. Fancy it, Lee?
Yeah, anywhere, as long as we catch fish.
I think you're desperate to go, aren't you?
Yeah.
Come on, mate, let's go and get the tackle.
Well, anyway, best of luck.
Yeah, cheers, thanks very much. I'll see you again.
Okay, look forward to it.
Mind mate. Go on, mate. Right, Lee, here we are in the swim that our friend up the river told us about earlier on, and you can see why it's such a good one. We've got bushes in the water there holding the current back and a real steady pace down the inside, and there's another one of those creases that I told you about. You might just be able to see it there, and that's where, as I mentioned before, the fish hold up ready to intercept food as it comes down in the main current. And on the other side, there's dead rushes. Obviously in the winter that's a huge high rush bed, but now it's the dead of winter. They're all gone back down and the fish lay alongside those in the steady water. It's done us a favour getting our gear out of the car as well. While we were there, as you can see, all the clouds are blown away and we've now got a freezing cold, but at least nice bright and dry sunny afternoon. Now we're using your tackle as a special treat rather than mine, and I've set your rod up differently to how we did it on the lake. Because it's moving water, we're going to be using a stick float. And firstly, I'll show you what a stick float is. Now, you remember on the Waggler, we wanted all the weight at the bottom of the float and most of the buoyancy at the bottom of the float to keep it out the wind. Well, a stick float, we have all the buoyancy at the top and the bottom is made out of a heavier material. And this particular one is made out of green heart cane at the bottom, and if you look very closely there you'll see the green vein running through the cane.
Yeah.
Years ago they used to make rods out of this material, so it's quite a strong one. And the top part is made of balsa wood, and that's joined in just about there, and there's a spigot of green heart goes inside the balsa wood to lock it tightly together, then glued up, and that'll sit nicely in the water without any weights on at all and gradually drop down as the shots settle. It's a bit slightly different to the one that the chap downstream was using, because that had a lignum base, much heavier, but he was fishing in steady water. We're going to be fishing more the stream in the middle, and this one carries a bit more weight down the line. Now, I've already shot it up, and what I've done, I've used the couple of number 6 shot there, a little way apart, and then we've come down with number 6s, and the last 2 nearest to the hook are number 8s, and that'll give us a really lovely steady fall to the bait. And I'm going to show you how to hold the float back, and when we get at the end of our swim, or trot as we call it, I'm going to hold the float back so the bait's still and it'll rise up in the water, and hopefully the fish see it and grab it as it rises up. Okay, now we've got your 2 pound line on that Brian put on for us in the shop, and I've got a size 18 hook there, size 18 spade end. That's in fact a carbon chub, which is quite a strong hook, and it's got a tiny little barb. And I've put that on because although I don't think we're going to catch many chub here, the chub swims are further downriver under those overhanging trees. Remember the ones I showed you? There's good roach, might get a perch, never know, could even get a bream in this sort of water. And they're all strung out the shot, gradually increasing in distance apart as you go up towards the float. Can you get some idea of that?
Why have you got the 2 shot together at the top then?
Right, I'll tell you why. Basically I needed 2 shot there, and I could have put one up under the float, but I've not exactly checked the depth yet. Now I know roughly how deep it was, because we saw how deep it was further downstream, and there's very little reason for it to be too much different here, so I took a guess at the depth. If it is a bit deeper, then I can move the top one of those number 6s up to under the float. If it's a bit shallower, then I can move both of them down and have 3 there. But what I want to get the effect is the float sitting up almost as soon as it hits the water, so you'll see each shot register as it does. Okay?
Yeah.
Right, you've got your 2 pound reel line, as I mentioned, and I've tied the hook link onto a 1.5 pounds, so if we do hook a snag, then we're only going to lose our hook link and not all the rest of our tackle. Now, I'll show you 1 or 2 other stick floats that we could have used. We saw the one that the other chap was using, and I've got a couple of different ones that you can see as well. Get the hook in there at harm's way. Put the rod down there. Now, I've got some other river floats, you might as well have a look at those too. These are famous. These are croquil avens, and these are made for very fast deep water, or just very fast water. Big balsa body with a croquil going through the middle, and with that huge shot carrying potential of that really sits up straight in the fastest water, and you can hold it back really hard and put the bait through exactly how you want it. That's a croquil aven. These are loafers, and they're made for very fast boily water, where you're using big buoyant baits like bread flake or big worms, normally fishing for chub, and they carry huge amounts of shot, 4 swan shot, 3 swan shot, and they'll cast out beautifully because you're just casting the bulk of the weight, and they'll go down the fastest water, stone upright. Ideal for shallow water, not so good in depth because they're not very long floats. Another variation there, that's a big old chubber, much the same sort of idea. And these are the stick floats. I might have a porcupine quill I can show you. They used to be used. There's one there. I camouflage them. That's a porcupine quill. Getting harder and harder to find now, but that's caught me plenty of fish, I can tell you. Use that with a little bulk shot rather than that strung out method that we got on the stick, and that goes through fairly shallow, quite pacey water. Now onto the stick floats. That's the type I explained to you earlier with the lignum base. These, 2 different kinds. That one's got a tonking cane base and is ideal for deeper, slower water. And that one has got a plastic base, and that type I find is best fished close in. I don't like the way they cast particularly myself, but for close in they're perfect. They sit up nice and they run through beautiful and straight. And these have got wire stems, and these are my favourites. I love fishing a wire stem stick. You really want a bit more pace than we've got today to use them, but I think they're fabulous floats. I use them on the tidal Thames, and they've caught me, well, yeah, I can say thousands of fish. I know they've caught me thousands of fish on the tidal Thames. And that one takes loads of shot. I used that on a winter league last year at Wallingford and had a bream 4 pound 12 fishing with that float. So that's going to be a lucky one. I'm going to use that again, I can tell you. And these are just different shapes. They're all from the same stable. They're John Allerton sticks, and that one is used in the fastest of waters. That one's used in shallow fast water. Because of that fairly bulbous body, you can hold back and slow the bait right up. And that one is used in sort of normal pace, but not too deep. Nothing over about 5 foot deep for that. And it can be turning round a little bit. You can have a little bit of boil on the water, and that will still go down beautifully. Right, one other thing you may have noticed. Some of these are blacked out at the top. Some are red. There's another black top one. Now the reason for that is, on especially bright sunny days like we've got today, if you're faced with a fairly wide river, the water's going to look white. If you see just down there, that patch of water there looks very, very white and glary. Now you'd never see a yellow float there. It'd be quite difficult sometimes to see a red top, but that black one sticks out like a beacon. If I hold that, you see as I'm holding it in that patch of white water there, see how much it stands out? Also they're painted matte, so you don't get any glare from the sun. If you have gloss finishes, then the sun can bounce off them, and that gives you a bit of glare, you can't see them properly. Right, the other alternative float we've got are these sort of Waggler. Now, there's 3 different kinds here. This is a fairly long, slim, what we call an insert Waggler.
Yeah, what at the top of the float? How comes it gets thinner?
Well, that's mainly to help with bite detection, because if a fish had to pull these fatter bits down, something, if the float was as fat as that, say, at the top, it'd take quite a bit of effort to pull it down. And because we'd only use that in fairly steady water, it'd be quite an effort, and the fish would feel the resistance and might spit the bait out. So that we'd use fishing just about on the bottom or just off, where we've got a nice steady flow. Just a bit too quick for that one here today. This one is fairly similar, but we'd use it in shallow water, and as you know, with a Waggler, we've got the shot at the bottom. This one I left the shot on, so I could tell exactly how much it took. And these shot come off on and off the line very easily.
I've got a bit of kind of rubbery plastic at the bottom of the float.
That's a quick change attachment. I showed you those on the lake, don't you remember? Oh, it was a clear one on the lake, wasn't it? It's the same thing, just clear. Right, it's just a quick change attachment so we can take the float off and put a different one on when we want to. Right, so that one would cast like a dart, and in the summer, when we could fish over by those rushes there, we'd just have those 2 big shot locking the float there, and 3 little tiny ones down the line, so the bait fell ever so slowly. And we might catch a chub or 2 over there in the summer, but now we've got the extra push of water through the middle, that on the other bank is going backwards. into an eddy. And if we threw a waggler over there, the float would stay there or even go upstream. The line going through the middle would be picked up by the current and the float suddenly would drag out of position. We'd never get a bite like that. And the third one is for casting into very shallow water. It's a crystal waggler made out of like a plastic drinking straw, again with an insert, and that casts into very shallow water, and we just have one or two really tiny shot down the line. You'd use that on a fairly wide canal or a river where you had a bit of cover on the far bank and you wanted to get under a tree without too much depth, maybe to catch a chub again. Okay. Happy with that?
Yeah.
Smashing. Now, let's go on to the baits we'll be using today. Well, those are casters. These are lovely fresh casters, just run off last night. And if you look inside them, or look inside the box, you'll see that's a dead maggot. It's another dead maggot. We don't want those, just shows I haven't done a very good job picking them out. And what these are, in fact, is the ordinary maggots that we used on the lake. They've been kept in a nice, relatively warm place, and they've crystallised. You know how caterpillars go into chrysalis and turn into butterflies? Well, these go into chrysalis and turn into bluebottles. And from here on in, every bluebottle that ever appears in your house is your fault. Because it's always, it's them maggots again, you've left them too long. Never is, but you always get the blame from now on for every bluebottle that ever appears. And as they first turn from the maggots, they stay white, and they go through different colour stages into that yellowy sort of colour. Then they'll go orangey to a darker orange, like that. And eventually they go to a fairly dark red. I haven't got any of those. Let's have a look. Oh, that's a bit darker. They go from there to dark red, then to black, right? And in that stage, they sink quite fast. And as they get progressively darker, they sink progressively slower until that one may even float. But if it got any darker than that, it would certainly float. And that happens because inside there, the fly is forming. And as it forms, it uses up the sort of liquid that's inside. If I burst one open, I'll burst that one open, you can see. They use up the liquid that's inside and becomes air pockets. So as you get air pockets, it floats. See? We can use sometimes the darker ones on the hook because the weight of the hook makes the bait sink faster than one that isn't on a hook. So if we put one that floats on the hook, it will slow down its fall to make it fall at the same speed as the loose fed ones when we throw them in for ground bait. Alright, now the classic way to fish with casters, use them in conjunction.
Last time we was on the lake, why didn't we use casters?
Well, basically we had the bait that I'd left over from the match, and the casters I were getting a bit old, and I'd much rather use fresh maggots than old casters. They tend to go a bit smelly and the fish don't like them much.
What's that? They look like seeds.
Yeah, it is. It's hemp seed. And what you do, you buy that raw from a pet shop or a tackle shop and then cook it for a while until, see those white shoots?
Yeah.
The white kernels, till they start splitting through, and then the fish find those very attractive. Now you can also buy it ready cooked, and if you want to keep your mum happy, that's the best way to buy it, because otherwise you're sure to burn a hole in the bottom of one of her saucepans as well as stink the whole house out. So it's a good idea to buy it ready cooked. It's quite a cheap bait and it works well because it attracts roach, which love casters, and chub, which also love casters, and it saves buying or preparing too many casters. And those two baits together are a very, very good combination. But I like to start, first of all, although we'll be feeding hemp and casters, I'll start with a maggot on the hook. Nice big fresh white maggot on the hook. Seem to get the bites quicker, and then once we've got one or two fish, switch to the caster and we should get some quality. See that? Lovely. Yeah. Right, about time we got fishing, I think, don't you?
What's this in with the maggots?
That's just sawdust, just to keep them nice and dry. Right,
and
let's
fresh.
start. Sorry?
Nice and fresh and all.
Oh yeah, they're fresh. Right, first thing we're going to do is plumb the depth.
What's plumbing a depth?
Ah, I showed you that on the lake, you've forgotten already. What it is, we're just going to put a heavy weight on. Here's a different kind of plummet to the one I used on the lake. We're going to put a heavy weight on the hook, which is that. That's a clip-on plummet. See, I'm going to clip that around the hook like that, drop it in, and if the float sinks, we know we've not got it deep enough, and if it stays on top, we know we've got it too shallow, but we can gauge exactly how deep it is. Okay? Right. Start off just dropping it in the edge. Looks quite deep there. Now we'll go out a little bit further. See, it's a good foot deeper there. As it starts to shallow up, pull it back towards us. See those two shot just sticking out the water? Now, we'll put it out into the middle, which is where we're going to start fishing. Just no need to cast these violently, just hold them there, let it swing out, and as it gets to the top of the swing, let it go. Alright. Well, that's not far off of being dead right, a little bit too deep. Try it once again a bit further out. A nice little sideways swing again. See the force of the current pulling the float along? It'll gradually go under as the plummet takes up. Right. I'm going to shallow up a wee bit because I think that's just a bit too deep. And then, because we're going to be trotting through the swim...
What was that noise there?
I don't know, it was a bird of some kind. What? As the float goes down the swim, the depth will vary slightly. And as it does, we can control it, hold the float back a bit. But we'll pull the float down just about 3 or 4 inches like that. And we'll have a practice run through. Shall we put bait on or not?
Yeah.
Right. So if I catch a fish, is it going to be lucky? Or is it going to be skill?
It's going to be skill.
Oh, thank you. We won't throw any bait in yet because there might be a big snag. That means we can't carry on trotting down that line. We'll just put one maggot on for now. Swing it out into the middle. Just hold it nice and still till all the shots start to register. And then down she goes.
Keith, why
Yeah?
didn't you cast it up to that side of the swim and you'll have longer trotting down?
Ah, that's a really good question. And you'll find that a lot of beginners do exactly that. Let's wind in, let's clear down to there. Let's wind in and I'll explain that to you. If you do that, good at catching and all, aren't I? If you cast up there, by the time your float gets to in front of you, the line will have overtaken the float, pulling the float along, like I said, with a waggler, if we went into the slack water. Now, also, if you throw your bait right upstream, the fish will follow the bait up to where it hits the water. So eventually, you've got all your fish up there, but when you cast your float up there like that, there, you've got absolutely no control over it at all. See, I can't slow it down, I can't make it run through faster, because it's the wrong side, it's upstream. Whereas if it's downstream, I can just pull back slightly and the float will stop. I can release the line and it'll run through. Days like this when you've got a slight upstream wind, especially coming off your back, you can almost make the float sit up and beg. Let's hope the fish appreciate that fact. Right, now we're ready to start. Put a nice fresh maggot on. Just a few casters, a few grains of hemp. Throw those out into the middle. Come off of that twig. Like that. Good. Slightly downstream, you see, so the fish will always stay there. They'll never go past the feed. The furthest upstream they'll ever come is there, and we can actually fish properly for them there. We'll put a maggot on and have a trot down. Don't mind me having a little go first, do you? You can have a go in a minute.
As you set it up.
If I catch something, I promise you can catch the second one. All right?
Yeah.
There. A few more casters and a bit of hemp. Now, let's behind the float, pull the float back into that. See, with that wind you can just lift the line off the water slightly and slow the float right up, almost stop it, and then just let it run again, and away we go. Very much a trial run through this. Don't forget there still might be a snag that we haven't found. We've only run it through once. I'm just keeping my finger on the spool there. You know how on the river, on the lake rather, we held the finger there when we cast and then released it to let the line go. We do exactly the same here, but we use it for trotting down instead. We keep the line there when we want to release a bit of line. Can you see?
Oh,
stop looking at the float. We just release.
Bite though.
Well, never mind about that. If we're going to bite, I'll know about it. Release the line like that to let it go, just a bit at a time. See? Right. A few more casters. Bit of hemp. I don't think that maggot's been munched. Come here. Let's have a check. Nope. Don't even look frightened. Cast out. Oh, cast out again. Get the hook out my finger. It's so cold I can't feel anything. Twisted it round the rod a wee bit. That's it. The wind's making it slightly awkward to cast from this angle. There you are, like that. Tight onto the float, open the bail arm again. Hold it back. Let it run. Bit more bait. With this style of fishing it's best to feed little and often. Just 4 or 5 casters, 8 or 10 grains of hemp, sometimes twice a cast until the fish are there. Oh, that might have been a little bite. Until the fish are there, and then you can tell.
Is it a bite?
Yeah, look, that maggot's just been marked. See that little creamy?
Oh yeah.
It's not been properly chewed. I suppose the fish are so cold with this cold water, but it's just got that little creamy mark on it where a fish has given it a squeeze with its chops. Whoa.
That's good news.
You might catch a few here today, young Mr. Lee. Let's have a look. There we go. A few casters, a bit of hemp. The bits here that sun's touching, it's nice and warm, but the bits where it ain't, it's freezing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Slow it down, right, go on, run through. Hold it back a bit. Let's ride that little bite just now. I can just slow it down as it goes through that part of the swim, and maybe we'll get a bite. Yep. Rod down.
What is it?
No, it's only a small fish, a little roach. There we are. I know, it's hooked in the lip. Let's get me disgorger. I'll show you how to use a disgorger properly.
Is that a disgorger?
Yep, don't use a yellow one. Use a red one.
Why?
Red for roach. Slip your hooks, it's just hooked in the lip. There you are. Typical little roach like I showed you on the lake. Orange fins, little orange eye. Tail, in the net. Top, that's it. Right, it goes behind there for now. Do you want to go?
Yeah.
Do you think you can do it?
Yeah.
Right, come on then, now you have a go. Let's see if you can catch one. Right, let me go up and go behind you because it's very muddy here. You stay there where you are for a second. Let me go up and go round the back. Like that. That's it. You sit there. Alright.
Yeah.
Hold the rod, don't forget how, hold it how I showed you. I'll go round the other side. Wait a minute. Right. Got the hook out.
You can put the bait on for me.
I'll put the bait on for you?
Yeah.
Right, okay, is it?
And
I'll
cast.
put the anti-reverse on. Now anti-reverse, switch it off. Let a little bit of line out. That's it. That's enough. Now we're still keep a maggot on. Now keep the anti-reverse off now, Lee, in case you hook a big fish. You might want it to let some line out, you see. Here's your maggot. Remember how I showed you? Look.
Yeah.
Through the frilly bit. Put the hook just through there. Like that. Right? Yeah. Okay. Now, what I want you to do, hold that in your hand, catch the line on your finger, that's it, that's it, trap it like that, open your bail arm right up properly, and just swing it out gently, minding me. Reckon you can do that? Mind the hook don't catch in your finger like I did. That's excellent. I'll throw some feeding for you, shall I? 'Cause it's a bit awkward from where you are. A few casters and a bit of hemp. Now just, that's it. Try and hold your rod just in one hand. Stop the line a minute. Stop the line. Just hold the rod up slightly. See how you made the float come back a bit? See that? Now just hold it there for a second or two. Now let it go again. That's it. That's where you should get a bite there. Just about there. That's it, strike. Lovely. Lovely. Oh, gently, 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 gently. That's it. Can't, slowly, slowly. Keep the fish down, that's it. Now, just bring it gently. Swing it out, a little bit, wind a little bit more. Swing it to me. Great stuff. There's a lovely little roach. Look, lovely winter condition. Orange fins. Lovely long tail. Only a small one, but that's smashing start, isn't it? Right, let's slip him in the net. Hold your hook.
Change your maggot?
No, we're going to try a caster now, see if we can catch a bit bigger one. That's it, right. Now just show you quick how to hook a caster, because there's a few fish there now. No, we don't want a white one. We want to use a nice darker coloured one there, because they're a little bit crunchier and a little bit harder than the white ones. Now what you do with a caster, just put the hook in the blunt end, like that, right inside it. Got it like that?
Yeah.
Can you see? Like that. And then turn the whole lot round and poke the whole hook down inside. Alright?
Yeah.
So you've got the hook buried. Don't want to go. Go in. Show you again. I've made a right pig's ear of that. I'm just doing it slowly. When I do it at full speed it takes 2 seconds. That's because I'm trying to show you. Right? Hook in the blunt end like that. Also of course you should have a bigger hook. What we'll do, we'll hook it on like that. That's how I hook with a smaller hook. So it's through, so it hangs straight. If it hangs all crooked, it's going to spin when you wind in. And that's going to cause you tangles. Alright? See how that's hanging? Hold it, let me... See that how it's hanging nice and straight? If it'll stay still for a second. There, it's not going to spin. Throw those few out. Right. Away you go. Ah! No catching bigger ones than me. Pulled your caster off now, it's my fault. Sorry mate. Stick it on again.
Mum's round a bit then. I won't hit you anymore.
No, that's my fault there.
That's what you
Do on the same way, right? Got it?
Yeah.
Great stuff. Wind it in a bit nearer. A little bit nearer. The old casters and Hemp's definitely brought them round. That's it. That's the right line. And just let it set up. That's it. Set it. Let it get another yard and then just hold it back like I showed you. Lift the rod up slightly to slow it down. That's it. Now stop it there. Stop it now. That's it. Now just lift the rod up a little bit higher. A little bit higher. You don't have to crouch down. Lift the rod up. That's it. You stopped it?
Yeah.
Right. That's it. Now let it run from there. It's a bite strike. That's it, that's it. Just keep steady pressure on, Lee. Steady pressure. Now wind. Wind, don't let it go slack. Just keep winding. Little bit firmer. That's it, here he. Looks like a nice fish. Mine goes down in that current. I think I'll net this one. Oh, that's a lovely fish. Just gently, keep him there. Keep him there. Lovely. That's the difference a caster makes. Generally sorts out those bigger quality fish. Let's have a look at this one. Look at that, it's a smashing fish. 5 or 6 ounces that one weighs. Lovely. Hold that. Demolished the caster, obviously fancied it. That back down there. Slip him in the old net nice and gently. Always make sure when you put a fish in a net, they slide head first, just gently like that. Come to no harm at all. No worse than if they jumped out. Right, another caster on. You hook it on this time, just put the hook in the fat end, right, and then turn the hook round so it sticks out along the side. Alright, yeah. Try that. Yeah, try another one. Don't worry looking for that, we've got plenty. There you go, I'll throw a few more in. I'll move my floats off of there before the wind knocks them all over the place, that's it.
Okay.
I'll flick out some more bait. That's perfect. You haven't had any private lessons on the side, have you? Go on, actually go, I've got to take the rod back. I'm jealous when people catch big roach, I like catching them more than anything else.
Should I go out a bit further?
That's alright, try it. It's just as deep that close in. Strike, that's one. That's it.
Yes.
Well, that's a small one. Swing it to me. Oh, not too high. Come here, poor little thing, taking it all in that wind. You're winding in just a bit too far, let a bit of line out. That's it. Unhook him quickly, slip him into the net. Made a terrible mess of that caster, innit? Right. Let's have another go.
Chuck some bait in, yeah?
Yeah, let me hook one on for you first.
Can you cast it?
Go on, out you go, while they're there. Make hay while the sun shines. No, let me do it. Oh, no, you hooked in the net. That's it, go on, out you go. Straight out. That's it.
It's
very hard for you today with that wind. I'll give you one little tip. See when you cast out, instead of winding the bail arm closed, try closing it with your finger. I'll show you next time.
Right.
Yeah, instead of winding the handle. Let it run. Just let it. Keep the rod down, because otherwise the wind's going to blow the float back upstream. Keep the rod down. Slow it down. Now let it run through that feeding area. No, you're past it again. Come before you get to those snags. It's gone a bit slow now on the old caster. I think it's time.
One more run through?
No, I think it's time we'll go back on to double. Well, let's try double maggot. Let's not go on a single maggot. Let's try double maggot. See if we can pick up something a bit more quality. Now, when you put 2 maggots on, put the first one on exactly as you did when using a single maggot. And the other one on the other way round. So you put the hook through the frilly bit from the other way, so they hang side by side. If you put them both on the same way, they'd be back to back, be both facing the same way, not back to back like they are now, and they'd spin like a helicopter. Go on, have a run through with that. Still feed hemp and caster. I'm going to go sideways again. Okay, that's it. That'll do. Oh, we're going over the top?
Yeah.
Go on in. Careful, that's right. Not too far, just a little flick. Right. Now wind in. Wind in, you're miles too far out. Wind in, keep winding. Stop. See if the old double maggot will bring us a bit of quality. Wind's getting up now and it's getting terrible, it's so cold. Let it run. Rod down low. Let that wind do the work. Stop the line. Don't want too much going out. Now let it run again. Strike. Good lad. That's it. Rod up, rod up. It's another nice. Oh, I'm going to net that one. Keep it away from the edge. Don't let him go near the weed. Gently keep him there. Well done.
Yes.
It's another lovely roach. They've gone back on the maggot.
Oh, it's stuck in the net again.
Yes.
I must reckon that weighs.
Comes out very easy. Well, it must be 6 ounces, I would think, that one. All the 6 ounces.
Lovely fish.
Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? Perfect winter condition. Blown the maggot up the line and everything. Let's not keep him out of the water any longer.
Slide him in head first.
Don't forget, head first.
Right.
Sorry?
I said slide him in head first.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Now I'm just going to change that up because I noticed it had got slightly bent where it went in the net. I'll just put another one on.
Got one.
That looks like a smaller one. Swing him out. Oh,
What's that?
what's that? That's a Tommy Rough or a Pope. They go under all sorts of names. In the south they tend to call them Pope, and as you get further north they become Tommy Rough, and when you get up into the northwest they call them Daddies. Hold that a minute and I'll show you. Just like a perch.
What do they call them us?
I don't know, it's just their name. Spiky dorsal fin, like a perch. Lovely colours and very sharp gill rakers. But I'll tell you what, I always think they're bad news fish. Because as soon as they show up, it's a sure sign that everything more active in your swim has decided to swim away and have a feed somewhere else. And I think that time we did that and all, don't you?
Yeah, I'm
freezing cold. Are you cold as well?
Yeah.
I thought you might be.
I've had a few fish today.
Yeah, you have as well. You've learnt a bit too. You've learnt how to cast a stick float, how to shot a stick float. I have to teach you how to keep your hands warm in the winter. But I think you've had quite a good day. Learned how to trot down, hold back, run through. You've caught some quality fish. Learnt the importance of changing baits. Keep switching the changes between maggots and casters. Feeding hemp and caster. Let's have a look at what we've caught.
Yeah.
Great, I'll just put this down. Let me do that. Bit slippery and dangerous there, mate. Okay. Well down out the way.
Oh, so I sit on my hands, keep them warm.
Right.
You're seeing
out the
my
way.
fish here.
Sorry?
You're seeing my fish and you're one.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
That's the idea of it, you to catch them. There. Go up there, Lee. Stand just there. Get back over. And swim up to the top of the net. There you go. Now look. Nice winter catch that is. Lovely caster roach, 1 or 2 on the maggot. Little Pope in there. Smashing.
Loads of roach.
Yeah, plenty of roach, just the odd other fish. Don't get much else apart from roach out this bit of river. Odd perch and that. Right, back they go. And we'll hit the road home to Mum.
Yep.
Never tip fish back, always just put the top of the net in and they'll swim out on their own. There you go.
I don't want to leave.
Yes, they do. They're going home to Mum the same as us. Come on, mate. Let you go out the way. Up there. Right. Okay, had a good day?
Yeah.
Good.
Where are we going next, Keith?
Back to where it all started, mate, on the cut.